loud. All righty. And I am going to just start a little bit of introductory stuff while we continue to have people arrive. So my name is Allison Schreier. I see people who I have seen plenty of times and I'm so happy to see again. And I see people who I haven't met before, and that makes me very happy too. So I'm located in Seattle, Washington. I'm a former family caregiver for my husband who was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. And when he was a pretty young guy, and we lost him in 2019. And that is when I pivoted and started doing facilitating support groups. And I became a dementia educator, working in both environments with families and with professional caregivers. And that's what I dedicated myself to for quite some time, including a gig at the University of Washington where I helped manage a program that was about education, but this time it was about educating doctors. How do you guys be better at detecting, diagnosing, and supporting people who are living with dementia? And then, meanwhile, in the background, wheels churning, I built a team and our because I had this vision for this TV that was like really worked for people with dementia, and so that is where Zinnia TV came from. So, a couple of notes. If you have the ability to easily use chat, I'd love it if you guys would just type in where you're from, and also maybe if there is information you can share about how you found out about today's session, because I want to make sure that we're tapping into the right resources to let people know about us. And also, I'm going to be referring to the chat to grab questions. So we always welcome people to just raise their hands and ask a question, or if that is not accessible to you, to just shout it out if you have a question. It's very intentional that we do this as a Zoom meeting and not as a webinar, because it's important to me that people have the ability to pop in and be a part of the conversation, which we can do with this format. So any questions you have, the timing for today is that our guest, who I will introduce in just a moment, is going to be chatting for maybe like about 40 minutes or so, with 20 minutes at the end to ask questions. I am then going to hang on for another half hour. So if you have additional questions that you didn't get answered or new things have arisen, and this is having to do with anything, right? Anything that has to do with caregiving, I'm going to hang out and just be available to answer questions and engage in conversation. Thank you to those of you who are cool with being on camera. We always love that. But I also respect that people might be eating breakfast or something. I prefer to stay hidden. So without further ado, then, it is time to go ahead and introduce our speaker for today. So Jennifer Janelle Martin is it's totally serendipitous. I really wanted to do a lecture that had to do with the dying process, because it's something that I feel like I failed at as a caregiver. It's just like, oh man, here we are at the end of the road, and I don't know anything about what we're about to do, and I don't feel like I did a good job of it. And so I thought, boy, that's what I wish I had had, is somebody who could tell me more about like how do you be with a person when they're actually leaving this world. And so I started doing just some online research, and I somehow came across Jennifer, and it turns out that she actually lives not that far from me. And when we had a conversation, I realized that, oh, what a treasure trove she is. Like, yeah, she knows all about she'll tell you about herself, but she can do the stuff that I was hoping she could do and so much more. And so that's what led us to today. And we kind of jammed on trying to get this lecture in before the end of the year, because I really feel so strongly that as a caregiver, the things that helped me the most were in this order: self-care, education, and support. And the self-care piece is something that seems so obvious, but it's not. And so I'm really delighted to have us be able to start the new year with maybe some fresh perspectives about the importance of taking care of ourselves, because, of course, if something happens to us, who's going to take care of the person that we care for? So, without any further rambling from me, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Janelle Martin.
All right. Thank you, Allison. I'm so grateful for our connection and the opportunity to connect with everybody here on the call. How wonderful to see so many of you calling in from all around the world with hopefully some curiosity about this topic, some time to connect together with other people in this caregiving community. And yeah, just so grateful to be here with everybody. Thanks for trying something different. In today's call, we are going to be exploring some different topics. We'll start with a mindful moment. I am going to share a bit about myself and the different hats I wear. One of them is a meditation teacher. And so I really love to take a moment to pause and kind of get clear on our intention about our time together. I'll talk a bit about myself, give a little introduction. We'll explore maybe some intentions we have individually, together as a group. And we're going to dig into what's ahead. We're going to talk about self-compassion, which I am so passionate about, boundaries, saying no, how we create space in our very full and overwhelming lives, and restorative time. When we create that space, what would we like to say yes to? What types of things restore us and offer us renewal in our lives? And we'll have some space for a discussion and some Q&A at the end. Just a small note. Technically, I am aware I'm not in full presentation mode. I was having a little bit of trouble with my presentation feature today. So you might see a little bit of noise around the screen, and that will be here during the presentation. I think the other thing that I'll mention before we move forward is if you're not on mute already, if you're able to find the mute button and put yourself on mute, that would be helpful. And we'll have a chance to come off mute at the end for. Okay, so hello. My name is Jennifer, and I am calling in from where I live, which is the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish people. This is also known as Northwestern Washington State in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States. I like to take a moment to express my gratitude for all of the people who have tended to this land and these waterways through since time immemorial. And I am someone who deeply cares about the world around me, about the people in my community, my loved ones, myself, the land, the beings. And there is a lot of text here about what I do and how I do it. And you can find more of that information on my website. This deck will be available for you. So we're going to send some resources afterwards and you'll have access to this. So if you're someone who likes to take notes, you're welcome to. But if you want to just kind of rest back and listen, know that you'll have this information afterwards and you're welcome to do whatever helps you take care of yourself today. So here are many different hats that I wear. I am a meditation teacher. I offer trauma-informed care, therapeutic yoga and qigong, sound therapy. I love to do meditative forest walks. I offer death care and end-of-life planning, grief care and grief tending. And I'm a health and wellness coach, a board certified health and wellness coach through the medical board. These are a lot of different hats, a lot of different tools that I get to use and explore. And I love to take a moment here to honor all of my teachers, right? I have studied and learned from so many incredible people through a lot of different wisdom lineages, all the wisdom keepers that have passed this along. So everything I'm sharing with you today has come to me through someone else. I really love to honor and take a moment to name that. And so there are a lot of different hats here, a lot of different ways that I like to engage and connect and offer community care. And if I were to sum it up, I would say that I care wildly and deeply. This is what I do. And I was born in the late 70s. And so, I grew up watching a lot of cartoons in the 80s, and the Care Bears are one that just completely resonate with me. I mean, this is me through and through. I'm a deeply emotional creature, and I believe emotions are superpowers, and that caring is such an incredible way to live and engage with the world. So that is why I'm here. And in this space, I imagine that we are in a virtual room full of people who care, right? I mean, that is really in the role we might be finding ourselves in right now as a caregiver. But in general, I imagine a lot of people in this room care deeply about the things that are important to them. So if we look at intentions, right? I deeply believe that sharing community in grief and death is one of the most potent and powerful ways to feel connected to life, right? To really honor all in the fullness and the expanse of our humanity. And so I'm very passionate and energized about creating and sharing spaces that offer us the opportunity for this exploration, right? To really explore the fullness of our humanity and do that in community, right? In community, I think is a really big piece of this. And so I'm so grateful for this time for us together today. Now, I've just let you know why I'm here, a little bit about who I am. We might take a moment here to think about your intention, right? Why are you here? If at the end of this session you were to say, oh, that's exactly what I needed, what might have happened, right? Maybe orienting a bit to what is my intention here? And if the answer is, I don't know, I just showed up, someone told me about it, that's absolutely okay, right? Sometimes we don't know. And sometimes we do. And sometimes it might come a little later. And that's all okay. There's no wrong way to be here. And so, as we rest here with our intention, if it feels interesting, I'm going to weave in a mindful moment. Right, a moment just to kind of ground and settle. We arrive in layers, right? Our body arrives, then maybe our mind kind of starts to shift from where we are, and we just kind of arrive in these different pieces and ways. And so, if it feels interesting to follow me in this breathing exercise, you're welcome to join along. And if it doesn't, please take care of yourself. Do anything at all that will help you arrive and be a little more present for our time together today. So if you do want to follow along with me, we're going to take our hands and place them with the palms facing up. And that could be on your legs or on the desk in front of you. If you're not in a place where you can place your hands upward, maybe bring your attention to your palms, wherever they're resting, whatever feels most comfortable for your body. So kind of resting them on your legs or on a surface below so that your shoulders and your arms can relax and the palms are upward. And we're going to take a moment to spread the fingers wide and then let the fingers soften in whatever way feels right. Release the tension. And then we're going to spread our fingers and our toes wide. Maybe notice the toes and the fingers spreading into socks or shoes. And then we'll soften and let the muscles release. And if you'd like to add on, you could start to spread the fingers, toes, kind of squeeze the arms and legs and belly, and then release. So this exercise is called tense and release. Quite simple. We tense the body and then we release the muscles. If you like to add breath in, you could inhale as you squeeze this activation in the body and then exhale, softening, letting go. And you can go as fast or as slow as you want, right? We're not forcing the breath. We're not overdoing it. We want to do something that feels just right in the body. Maybe that's something different than what I'm offering here. So we'll take an inhale, squeeze, and this time sigh it out, maybe with the sound. Ah, do that 2 more times. Maybe an inhale, this gentle squeeze, and exhale with a sigh or a sound or in a way that feels right for you. We'll do that 1 more time, the squeeze, and release. Just let that go. Just maybe wiggle your body a bit. Maybe you've noticed, oh, I'd really like to stretch this or move that. Or, oh, yeah, okay, let me just give myself a little bit of care, right? Anything at all. Maybe a moment to notice if that exercise had any effect for you. Maybe not. That's okay. This idea of getting curious. How was that for me? Do I like it? Do I not like it? What am I learning about myself in this process? And that invitation is going to be here throughout our whole time together. So if that was new for anybody, thank you for trying something new. Thank you for learning about something about yourself. And we will move on forward. So, as I mentioned before, I am deeply passionate about emotional well being. And I do hold the belief that emotions are energy in motion, right? That these can be really powerful messengers to let us know where we might be a little imbalanced in our lives, or maybe a lot imbalanced, right? That emotions express to help us orient, kind of like a North Star towards how we can find more balance and more harmony in our lives. And emotions can come with different responses, right? Sometimes it's up and out, like anger or joy. And sometimes it's down and in, like depression or grief. So you might notice what kind of energy moves through you during our conversation. Some of the things we talk about can feel tender or vulnerable. And so maybe noticing if at any point you feel this movement of energy or this movement of emotion, how could you let that move through? Rather than pushing it away or shoving it down, right? Would it like to move in some way? Would you like to breathe or stretch or rock and sway or give yourself a hug or yawn or maybe take a break, right? Drink some water, just anything at all. This invitation to let energy and emotions move in whatever way your body's craving on this call. And as Allison mentioned, you're welcome to stay off camera, right? So you have full privacy to do whatever you want to take care of yourself, whatever you need. And so we talk about this idea of caring for yourself, being off screen if you want, walking around your room while you're listening to me share, right? Anything at all. Do you want to hydrate? Take care of yourself, right? I really love this one. Enjoy some beauty medicine. Beauty medicine is this idea of when we look at something beautiful, when we observe something beautiful, can help our body to slowly shift into a more resting state, right? So just anything at all that you want. This recording is always here, so you can come back to it if at any point you would like to. And another thing, everything that I'm talking about in our session today is a practice, right? I am a recovering perfectionist, and this first topic, self-compassion, is really, really powerful. If anyone else in this room might find themselves in kind of overachieving or perfectionist spaces, right? So where is this practice and presence over perfection? Lifelong practice. We have the opportunity to practice these things. So it could be very normal that our inner critic is going to jump in and say, oh my gosh, now I'm doing self-care wrong. Now I'm doing, self-compassion wrong. Oh, I can't do it right. Normal. All right. The inner critic's going to be there. How can we find a way to balance that out? Offer ourselves a little bit of space, a little bit of grace, practice and presence for what we're talking about today. Right. And the last thing before we move inward, I just want to take a moment to honor and remember my grandmother. She died a few days before Thanksgiving this year. She did live with dementia at the end of life, and it makes this time together very special to be here with you and remember her and feel her presence during our time together today. Okay, so we've just said a lot of things. Please take care of yourself, right? Whatever that looks like. And we are going to move into our first topic for today, self-compassion. And this may be a term that you hear a lot, but maybe not quite sure what it is. And, from there, how do I practice it, right? What does it mean to have this self-compassion, right? What does that look like for me? And I have learned one of my main self compassion teachers is Dr. Kristen Neff. She's at the University of Texas, Austin, and she's devoted over 20 years to self compassion study and research. So she has a lot of really incredible information and research studies on the benefits of self compassion and how it can really add value to our lives. And I'm not going to go in a big deep dive today with self compassion or any of these topics, but I will provide you with resources and experts in all of these fields that you could move forward with if you do want to go into a deep dive with all of this. So, Dr. Neff defines self compassion as extending kindness, care, and understanding to oneself, especially during times of perceived failure, inadequacy, or suffering. So, said a different way, treating yourself as a good friend rather than being harshly self critical. This is really powerful. I imagine most people in this room being caregivers, right? Offering care. We're great at extending kindness and care and understanding to other people, right? We're really great at offering that. And then this idea of, wait, to me? Oh, no, 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 I'm different. No, I can't do that. Right. And this is such a human experience. So many of us have this experience, right? For some reason, it's so much easier to extend kindness and care to others and can feel really tricky to do it for ourselves. So I just want to name that, right? Not a problem to solve, not a problem to fix, just to name this human experience of, wow, this can be really tough and tricky. Now, Dr. Neff identifies three main elements in a self compassion practice. So, the first element is self kindness versus self judgment, right? What would it be like to be kind to ourselves, to offer ourselves the compassion and the kindness that we offer those who we care about, rather than this self judgment, which is our normal programming for a lot of us, right? Maybe not everybody on the call. Right? But our inner critic tends to get really loud a lot of the time. And so, what would it be like to practice being kinder to ourselves, giving ourselves a little more patience, a little more space, especially when things get hard? The second element of a self compassion practice is this common humanity versus isolation. So sometimes we can feel like, gosh, this is just me. I mean, everybody else on this call must be doing it exactly perfectly right. And it must be really easy. And I'm not doing it. There's something wrong with me. Really normal to have those thoughts. And it can feel really isolating when we feel like we're all alone. We're doing this all alone. And so, this self compassion practice offers us the space to explore this common humanity that we have, this suffering that we have as humans. It is part of our human experience. And it doesn't mean there's something wrong with us. In the same way that we experience joy and love, we experience hurt and suffering. And so, just noting that common humanity, wow, I'm having a human experience. And the third element of a self compassion practice is explored through this practice of mindfulness. And mindfulness, stated simply, is being aware of what's present without judgment. So, noticing what's here, noticing what's present without judgment. So, a different way to talk about this self compassion practice is we treat ourselves with warmth as we would a good friend, seeking to understand and be present with what's here rather than criticize what's here. And so it's really easy to say this, right? But to actually practice it and live it, this is a new skill set we might be practicing for some of us. Maybe some of us have been practicing for decades and it's still a practice, right? So this idea of practice and presence over perfection. Bringing curiosity. How could I be kinder to myself? How can I remind myself that I'm a part of this natural and human world? What's it like to be present with what's here without judging it and criticizing it? And if the answer is, I don't know, that's okay too, right? Sometimes we don't know, and that's okay. And so when we look at this second element of self compassion, right? This idea of our common humanity, we might take a moment to acknowledge and notice some common struggles when caregiving with dementia. And this list is not exhaustive. This is a small list of some of the challenges and struggles that come up. And so you might take a moment to notice something on this list that really resonates with you right now. It could be one or two things, it could be the whole darn list, right? Maybe there are things that you have experienced through your lived experience that aren't on the list, right? Just kind of taking a moment to let this orient you to something that feels difficult and this common humanity. Wow, other people on this call are also experiencing this. I'm not alone. We're not alone, right? Now, another thing about self compassion that I do like to weave in, and Dr. Neff talks about, is that it's not just gentle compassion, which many of us might be used to offering, right? Compassion also involves fierce compassion, right? And fierce compassion, I think one of the images that really resonates is mama bear energy, right? Something that you love, like a pet or a small human or a vulnerable human in your life, right? Anybody tries to cause harm or mischief, you are there. No, not okay, right? And this is a really, I think, important element to connect to, because when we start talking about boundaries, when we start talking about no, tapping into this place of fierce compassion, right? Protection for what's important to us. And what's it like for us to consider ourselves someone that we care and love for deeply, that we want to offer this fierce compassion and this fierce protection with love and kindness, that we too deserve those types of protections and love and compassion. And so we'll take a moment here to do a short self compassion exercise. And as I mentioned before, if anything I invite you to explore doesn't seem interesting, use this time in whatever way you would like to feel a little more grounded, balanced, just anything at all to take care of yourself. And if you are interested in joining this exercise with me, you can notice if you could be 10% more comfortable, how you might support yourself wherever you might be seated or standing or resting. And you can do this with your eyes open or closed, whatever feels better for you. And the first element in the self-compassion practice is we're going to notice, right? This mindful awareness. How am I feeling right now? Right? My body, my mind, my emotions. Just kind of noticing what feels present here. Maybe something from that list that we just looked at is here. And then perhaps naming what's here. Maybe naming something that's feeling hard right now, something that you're struggling with. This could be a sensation, an emotion, an experience, just one thing. We'll just start with one thing. So we notice, we name what's here, and then we nurture. We offer kindness. Wow, I'm having a hard time right now. This is really hard. Sometimes it can feel nice to put a hand on your heart or your face, or maybe rock and sway a little bit, or give yourself a hug. Just something nurturing. How would you care for someone who is having a hard time right now? Offering some kindness. This could be in a touch. This could be a kind word. Oh, this is really hard. You're doing so well with a really hard experience. Maybe there's an image that comes in that helps offer a little kindness or nurturing. And then this idea, wow, I'm human. I'm having a human experience. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Just any other way you'd like to connect to this mindful presence, the self-kindness, nurturing, just anything at all. Maybe take a breath or two here, just being with what's here. the way you'd be with a dear friend. And we'll take an inhale here. Exhale, maybe with a sound. And then just kind of shake the body a bit, move around, anything at all to transition from that practice. And perhaps a moment to notice, how was that for you? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was it weird? Anything at all. Just noticing this curiosity with some of these new or different tools that you might be exploring today. And if it's something that you'd like to put into your toolkit or not, you might leave it on the table. That's absolutely okay too. Now, we start with self-compassion because this is a really firm foundation for, life in general, but for self-care, right? Can we be compassionate and kind to ourselves when we're learning something new, when we're going through a hard time? And from here, we start to explore self-care and boundaries, right? So we're going to talk a bit at first about what is self-care. Again, kind of like self-compassion. I hear this term, but what is it? I don't quite understand. And the media can often describe self-care as bubble baths and face masks and go out and get something more and do something more, right? And that can feel really overwhelming in an already full life. I am over capacity. I cannot possibly add one more thing in my life. So I want to name that self-care is more than adding activities, right? It can often begin with removing what's draining us, removing things that are just feeling really overwhelming and non essential right now. So we could think of self care as this form of energy management and self kindness, right? Self compassion, which we just touched on. When we look at self care, there are a lot of different spaces that this can express in our life. This could be our emotions, our personal life, our physical life, purpose, or our profession, spiritual care, psychological care. A lot of different ways that self care can express. And I like this particular image because there's so many different ways that you can make this yours. You get to personalize it to your life. There's no wrong way, right? You get to decide what self care means to you and how you would like to express it in your life. It gets to be just yours. You are the expert of you. So you get to explore how you want to express and practice in this. And so, one powerful form of self care is saying no and setting boundaries. And this can feel really difficult, especially as a caregiver, right? Oftentimes, caregivers carry overwhelm, right? This is a responsibility. I have to do everything myself. And it's very normal to feel guilt about saying no, right? Really normal and common experience. And then we can have a difficulty to tend to our needs. We're overwhelmed, we're exhausted. And, it tends to put our own needs on the back burner. Really normal, common experience, right? That we share in this role as a caregiver. Now, is there anybody on this call here who is possibly better at giving than receiving? Anybody here feel that? You can raise your hand, you can give a little reaction, right? Where it's really easy. Oh, yeah, I can offer, I can help. But to receive help can feel really tricky, right? Somebody offers to help. No, I got it. No, I can do that myself, right? No, yes, I know I'm in this house, right? A lot easier to give than to receive. And this is a moment to acknowledge your feelings and needs matter, right? They matter. And there's this idea of self care and setting boundaries as opportunities to self resource, right? What would it be like to resource yourself so that what you're giving is coming from an overflowing cup? That what you offer comes from what is overflowing for you. And for some of us, that's not possible. We have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of demands, and that is absolutely a reality for many of us. So, what might it be like for us to add in as much as going out. So maybe the cup's not full, right? But what would it be like to continuously fill as we're offering so that we're not going into complete depletion and burnout and exhaustion? That we create space and time and activities that help us to renew and restore, right? So these are all invitations to get curious about and wonder, what would that be like for me? So we might think about ways that we care for other, right? Fierce compassion and protection, gentle compassion. We nourish, we feed, we hydrate. We try and support healthy sleep for them and sleeping conditions. We want to make sure they're resting. We help them with medical and physical care, social care, right? Connection, social connection, play, creativity. Maybe looking at something on this list that we might realize, wow, I'm not doing that for myself, right? I'm helping others do this. I'm not doing that for myself. And this is a space just to notice, right? Without judgment. Oh, how interesting. Hmm. How does that make me feel? Maybe I'm great with it. Maybe it guides me towards kind of a desire to shift things, balance a little bit. Maybe something else, right? Your experience is yours. It does not have to look like what I'm sharing or talking about up here. And so, this idea of all these things that we do for people is love in action, right? Care in action. This is how I care and love for others. And so, what would it be like to turn that love in action towards myself? Now, when we're talking about boundaries, this is part of that fierce compassion, a way for us to create space that offers us an opportunity to reduce overwhelm. It's not going away necessarily, but how can we turn down the volume from a 9 to a 7, right? Just a little bit of space. Imagine this pressure cooker. We just lift the lid just to let some steam out, right? So that we can continue on with something that might be a very challenging experience. And these boundaries can also help us support clarity and emotional well being, right? So, one of my boundaries teachers, Nedra Glover Twab, defines boundaries as rules, needs, and expectations that help you feel safe and comfortable in your relationships. They're protecting your physical, emotional, and mental well being. And this can often express as limits on personal space, on your time, emotions, possessions, and even thoughts. So, this is really about us protecting our time, offering ourselves space to rest, to be still. And I like to name that no is a complete sentence. It's very normal when guilt comes in that we want to over explain. We want to explain why, oh no, I can't do this because da, 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 da. And that may feel right for you in certain places. And I also want to name it's okay to say, no, I can't do that this time, right? Uncomfortable, but it's okay, right? No is enough. You have the right to have needs. You have the right to, name what you need, to speak it, to rest, to have space in your life. And so self-care is not selfish. Self-care is actually essential to sustain long-term challenges and distances. You think about a marathon runner, right? They have to refuel. They have to recharge if they're going to go the distance. And so thinking of self-care as a way of renewing so that you can show up in a more resourced way, that you can show up in your lives in a way that feels more responsive and present rather than reactive in ways that don't align with our values or how we want to express in the world. And so to do that, we create space, right? We have different types of boundaries. And in this particular space, I'm going to talk about four different boundaries, right? Emotional, time, communication, practical, physical. And this slide, I mean, you probably can't see the text, but I can read through it, talks about, okay, what do boundaries in action look like? All right, I got the concept, you see where you're going with this, but what could that look like in my life? Right. So some examples around boundary and time are one weekend afternoon, maybe even 1 hour will be devoted to your restoration time, relaxation, hobbies. And the way we would express this boundary could be, someone's invited you to something or someone needs you to help, right? Thanks for the invite, but I need to recharge this weekend. Let's catch up next week, right? Or that could be, thanks for the invite. I can't make it. Or, no, I'm not going to be able to help you with that this weekend. I need time to recharge. Another time boundary could be setting a regular bedtime, right? Honoring, hey, I need sleep to renew and recharge for the day ahead. So I'm going to be more consistent in my sleep routine and more consistent in, the time and maybe the process that helps me wind down to go to bed. Now, some communication boundaries could be, someone is wanting to talk about something that you just don't want to talk about, right? Might be some personal information that you're not interested in sharing. I'm not comfortable discussing that topic. Can we shift to something else? Or I'm not okay with sharing that personal detail with you. Another communication boundary could be, I need some time alone to recharge. Some of these weave in between the different boundaries, right? Time and communicating it. Or one, I feel unheard when I'm interrupted. Please let me finish. Now, we have some physical and practical boundaries, right? Scheduling daily movement or walking time. How can I do something to care for my body, right? Movement is medicine. And so, what's it like to weave something in that feels practical in my life? Is it 5 minutes of movement, 10 minutes, taking a walk outside? Protecting your restore time, right? I'm going to protect my time here. And asking for help. It's a really, really beautiful way to communicate boundaries, right? This can be one of the most difficult ones that we feel and have. And this can express in practical ways of ordering your groceries online if that's available in your area, right? So that you can go and pick it up. Saves you an hour walking around the grocery store trying to get everything together, or even having it delivered if that's available for you. Or asking someone, hey, can you go pick up that prescription for me? Can you come by for an hour or so I can take a break, right? And just sit with my person while I go just take a walk around the block. And we can ask our family, our friends for this support. Maybe there's a spiritual or faith-based community you're in or some kind of group. And if there are other resources that might be available, if your person's on hospice, they often have volunteers that offer respite and companionship and can come in and support in those ways. And there are caregivers, right? Professional caregivers that we could ask to come and support us in these ways. So different options, different spaces. And so maybe taking a moment, one other thing about boundaries, they often require us to feel some discomfort, right? Guilt might come up. There might be a little pushing back from the person that you're trying to set a boundary with. And so it's up to us to hold our boundaries, to repeat them, to say, hey, no, Saturday's my time. Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay, right? So a little bit of discomfort, maybe a lot of bit of discomfort, but it does require this, right? Naming what we want and then holding. And I think personally, it's really helpful data to see who respects my boundaries and who tries to push through them, who benefits from me not having boundaries. Really interesting data to see that. right? Maybe leads to a deeper discussion with someone that you care about. So we'll take a moment here to, you could just think about one of these things, write it down if you like to write, or put a note in your phone. What drains me? You might have a list of 100 things, right? So maybe think of one or two things that just come to mind right now. What feels really draining for me right now? Or maybe what is it time to say no to something? And then what boundary might help me protect my time and energy? Is there a boundary that I could set? Just thinking if anything shows up at all, maybe it doesn't. That's absolutely okay. You can keep with this longer. As I mentioned, you'll have the deck, you'll have the recording. You can come back to this, pause, take a little bit longer if you want to come through this again. And so we've said no, we've created some space. So, with that space, it might be interesting to think about what would help me restore. What would I like to say yes to? Something that feels life giving for me, energizing for me, renewing for me. It's not always about rest, right? Sometimes it's doing something, sometimes it's an activity that really just helps energize us. And so these idea of restorative activities are small and doable. I like to think of it as like microdosing, energizing and restorative activities, right? Could be 30 seconds, could be an hour. I mean a minute, could be an hour, right? How much time do you have for your restorative time? But it doesn't have to be this huge, big thing. It can be a moment of something that energizes and recharges you. Little moments throughout the day, right? Moments that refuel and comfort for your body, mind, and spirit. So, comfort and energy for your body, mind, and spirit. And some ideas could be time in nature, right? So, if you have 1 minute, this could be walking outside of your front door, your back door, and just taking a moment to feel the sunlight on your face, get a little bit of fresh air. Maybe open a window. Don't even need to leave the house. Or taking a moment to enjoy some beauty medicine, right? Looking at a tree or something in nature that you like. And if you have more time than a minute, you could look at something that really supports you in nature. This could be a walk or gardening or just any way with engaging in nature. There are thousands of videos on YouTube that have these beautiful natural scenes around the world with relaxation music, right? That's a way of connecting to nature. It's free, accessible, with whatever time frame you have. Other restorative activities could be creativity and play. When's the last time you felt like you did something that felt like play or fun? Right? This can often get thrown way on the back burner. Right? So much responsibility. And so weaving in play and creativity is so potent and so powerful in helping us to restore and recharge. And this will be different for each of us. We're all unique, right? Some ideas could be dancing, singing, painting, crafting, playing a game, a puzzle, something that feels playful for you. You have 1 minute, turn on your favorite song on in your living room and have a dance party, right? Just move your body or stretch. 1 minute, something playful. Balancing the body. And I use the word balancing because that's different depending on how our body's feeling. If we're having a day where we're feeling really angry and frustrated or anxious, movement might be really nice, right? Exercise or dancing or like some kind of class, like move that energy through, right? And if it's a day where we're feeling exhausted and really tired, maybe something like gentle yoga or a slow walk, right? Or something that feels just really gentle movement, Tai Chi, Qigong, things like this. Relaxing. is something that can be restorative, and this is different, right? It's not necessarily resting. You could take a nap. Aromatherapy can be really supportive in these spaces. Listening to music, taking a bath, cuddling with a pet, reading, journaling, watching a movie. So many different ways. And my hope is that you have your own list that's kind of coming through as I'm talking through some of these things. And then social connection, right? You're already offering yourself some self care today in the support group, being here, spending time with and around others, having maybe similar experiences, and connecting with a close friend. And so we might take a minute here. What refuels me? What is it time to say yes to? What's something I really want to do that I haven't been able to create space for? And what boundary could help me create space for my yes? Anything at all that comes to mind. And if the answer is, I don't know, remember that's okay. These questions are here. It's like planting a seed, it'll grow when it's ready to. And so I've just done a lot of talking about a lot of things. And now it's time for us to start to share and explore together. Maybe some reflections that came up for us, right? If anybody at all would like to share their experience, we have some space now. So you could share it in the chat if you like to write things down. If you would like to raise your hand with the Zoom feature, you can raise your hand and come off mute and verbally share it. If you don't know how to raise your hand, you could come off mute and share it in your way. So just noticing anything here that feels interesting to share, something that really showed up for you. So a boundary that feels possible for you, or if you're really great at setting boundaries, something you might want to share that might be supportive for the group here, right? I really found it helpful to set this boundary.
Do you realize how long?
Or something that's supportive, that restores you, right? Or any support that you need in this.
Hey, Jennifer, Allison chiming in. Um, I'll share a couple of things that really spoke to me about what you said. Um, the taking time in nature, definitely, I have found that to be incredibly helpful, even if it's just a couple of minutes. For those people who do use Zinnia, of course, that we have tons of nature videos. It can be really helpful to watch those. Boundaries. I eventually found, and I still do this now because it worked so well for me, that when people would ask me, like I'd finally like free myself. Okay, I have some time. I can go be me, like go to an event or go out with a friend for coffee. And inevitably people would be like, "How are you? What's going on with you?" And eventually I was able to say, you know what? That's not really where I want to be. Like I just actually left Dementia Land to spend a little bit
Mm.
of time outside of Dementia Land, and I want to be here as me, not as me, the caregiver. And I found that that was hugely helpful and that people were very, very respectful of that. And then something that I discovered that really worked for me for playtime was I discovered these little videos where in like 5 minutes you can learn how to draw a daffodil. And I would just be like,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
5 minutes, I'm going to learn how to draw a daffodil or a pansy or whatever it is. And it made me feel like I was actually accomplishing something. And it felt playful and it felt way outside what I typically do and made me feel good about myself.
Thank you, Allison. I love those reflections and those tools. Yeah. Anyone else at all interested in sharing about boundaries, something that's restorative or support that you might need for this?
There are some
Jennifer.
great ones in the chat, like Robin saying that when she has a stressful day, and cooking dinner feels like too much, they pick up food and it gives her a great break from meal prep. Or Wendy, who says that she asks her friends to share favorite funny memes with her. And Tammy, who really enjoys getting out in the sunshine, and out in nature. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yes, beautiful reflections.
Jennifer, this is Sally. I want to say
Sally.
one thing that I have come to is I am not a religious person at all, but I have adopted I love the phrase grace.
Mm.
And I began by using it with others when people didn't agree to things or didn't do something I wanted to. I could I could give them grace and recognize that they're doing the best they can, and I'm not going to get upset about it. I'm going to accept it and move forward that way. And I have continued and tried to give that. It's part of what you're saying. I'm trying to give it to myself also when there are times when I don't do everything I think that I should do. And I don't, it, to me, it doesn't have anything to do with religion or whatever. It's an emotional feeling that I have where I can turn loose and not get upset or stress over what's going on with someone else or with myself.
Yeah, I love this reflection. Really powerful and really speaks to this idea of what we practice, we can also share with others, right? So self-compassion allows us to be more compassionate with others, and the more compassionate we are, we can offer ourselves more self-compassion. So I love that beautiful weaving. Thank you. Anyone else who is interested in sharing?
Jennifer, not to be a hog, I see that we're getting close on time. Um, I wanted to reflect on something Carol said, which is do reach out for help. Don't refuse offers of help that you can really use. I think that one of the things I've really enjoyed about what you shared today is that so many of the things are things that I could just do in a minute or two, right? Like even that tensing and relaxing and breathing, my gosh, lowers your
Mm.
cortisol, stress goes down. If you did that 3 times a day, already, like that's 3 minutes, right? If you did that 3 times a day, you'd be way ahead of the game. But some of the things I know that probably people are like, and when exactly would I take that walk? And when exactly would I, right? Because who has time? And so to
Mm.
Carol's point about asking for help, I wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of the GUIDE program, GUIDE, which is a program funded by the federal government that allows caregivers to get respite paid for through Medicare. And this is something that you can ask your care providers about, or you can Google guide provisioners in your area. They're all over the country, and it's something worth at least looking into to see if you qualify. The other is if you haven't reached out to your local area agency on aging, it's a great resource as well as a place to start to look for help that might allow you some respite to do some of these things that would give you even more of a sense of regaining of self. And Jim, what would you like to say?
I chuckled when at the comment about or the talk about having your groceries ordered and you just pick them up. I do the opposite, which is I like manual tasks to take my mind away from everything else. And I walk to the grocery store, but I make it a 2 mile walk. And so that restores me being outside and doing something. Same with the chores around the house. I try and frame it as a distraction. I thought I would share that.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. This idea of, we'll know what will restore us, right? And what restores me maybe drains you and vice versa. So, really noticing what feels right for me. I love that. Thank you, Jim. All right. So, we are winding down, moving towards the end of the call. I do want to say it is 12 o'clock here, Pacific time, if anybody needs to jump right at the end or right at the end of the hour. And we will be on to continue through and answer questions. So, as we come to the end of this talk and this time, I'd like everybody to think of one small step you can take this week, right? Just one small thing. This could be researching something, this could be, setting a boundary, creating space, right? Just anything at all that feels available and practical to you. Could be from what we discussed or maybe something completely different. Just one small step. And I like to end sessions with something called a gem. This is like a takeaway, an aha moment, like something that you remembered about yourself or maybe learned about yourself, something that feels meaningful from the conversation. So you might think about a gem from today's session. Just one thing. You could write it down, you could put it in the chat, you could anything at all. If you want to name it, just speak it out loud in the room that you're in.
Jennifer,
In a moment, yes.
this is Diane. I just wanted to say, waking up in the morning and just listening to you, starting that day positive, I think would help all of us. Sometimes it's overwhelming on all the things ahead of us, but if we can't lose sight of, there is good out there, I think it would all give us all a boost.
Yeah, thank you. Right? Remembering what is going right. We got
Yeah.
a long list of what's going wrong. Can we name one thing that's going right?
Yeah.
One thing. Yeah, thank you. It's beautiful. And a reminder, hey, how can I be kind to myself? One thing I can do to be kind to myself in this moment, by the end of the day, maybe throughout the day. Self-compassion, self-kindness. I'm always doing the best I can in every moment, right? Every moment. So as we turn towards the end of our session, I'll take a moment to mention that I will be back again in February. I'm going to be talking about anticipatory grief and secondary loss. And then I'll be back again in April, talking about the dying process and meaningful ritual through that process for yourself. And in between, there are other sessions in this caregiver series through Zinnia. So we can send you that information. We'll have a session every month from now until May. And if you're interested in working together one-on-one before that, you have more questions, you want to deep dive into creating a self-care plan for you with your reality and your life and your preferences. There are different ways we can work together, right? In emotional well-being and grief care and death and end-of-life planning. So you can learn more about that on my website. And we'll say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for exploring, getting curious, anything else that happened during this session, for taking the time here today with each other, with me. And we have time now for questions, right? This could be about the presentation. This could be about general caregiving questions for Allison, for each other, just anything at all. Opening it up, questions in the chat or coming off a mute.
Hey, Jen, could you unshare? And then we'll
You
get
got
that
it.
whole, we'll see all our beautiful selves again. Yeah, there we are. Hi, Carol. I love your kitty cat on your lap. Yeah, so I just want to say, wow, Jennifer, thank you so, so much for being here today. There were a lot of things that really spoke to me, and and I know that there are gems that a lot of people are taking away with them. I'm seeing in the chat people who are thinking about, so how can I restructure things? How can I do things slightly differently? And I loved also your suggestion at the end that we think about one thing, because so often we think, okay, wait a minute, so now I need to like breathe 3 times a day. I need to make sure I take a walk. I need to, no, 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 which is one little thing that's going to help. And what we find is that when that one little thing actually makes a difference, that it opens us up to then maybe one other little thing. Baby steps. Baby steps. Yeah. Carol, did you have a question? It looks like you need to unmute. Let's see. Carol, you are muted.
Yeah, no
There we
question,
go.
no
There we
question for
go.
me.
And Carol, yeah, go ahead, Carol Gruber. And then
No,
Carol,
I'm listening and interested. No question at the moment.
okay. I think I was speaking to Carol, who is sitting next to you on my screen.
Hi.
There you go. Other Carol.
The other Carol. There are 15 Carols in Timber Ridge, so I understand the problem. Um, I just got off the plane from Japan, and I was there for 11 days, totally immersed in a different culture. And to come to this has been very good for me because, and I appreciate it. I want to say that because my task now is to integrate what it feels like to have no responsibilities in a culture that isn't mine and just enjoy it and integrate that with my current culture, which has lots of responsibilities, and learn from both, I think, where I'm heading. And Japan just happened to be where I was. But as you all know, they have a wonderful practice of life that is different than ours, you know. So I guess I'm coming away from this session with one word, and that is integration. We all have responsibilities, whether it's a caregiver or our own selves or whatever, and how to integrate that with what the world has to offer, you know, is instead of making it our only identity, I guess is what I'm saying. And
Carol, thank
so is my cat. So,
thank you for that, Carol.
yeah.
And I love that you were able to get away. Carol, I know Carol, and Carol's husband lives in long-term care. So beautiful that you could be comfortable knowing that he was well cared for and take some amazing time away.
11 days. I haven't had 11 days without being a caregiver per
No, I
se.
think most people on this call haven't had 11 minutes. So there's a lot of envy going on right now.
I
Um,
mean,
yeah. Sally?
So I just wanted not maybe it is a question, and that is in Alaska, our Anchorage, Alaska Resource, Alzheimer's Resource of Alaska offers an 8-week class called Savvy Caregiver.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask, I don't know if other places do it, but I would strongly recommend it. It's 8 weeks of classes, and it is exactly what Carol was just saying. It's an integration of caregiving ideas and self-care. And every class is you're taught some of these things. It's not quite as in depth, Jennifer, as you've been able to do, but it's really good. And I would recommend it. So if anybody is looking for things, I believe it's not possible to take too many classes or lessons or Zooms on self-care because as you get drawn in, I am fortunate that I do not live with the person. I'm a friend, close friend, and I am closely involved, but it's not 24 hours a day. So, but even I find the need for these other things. I love Grace has coming with Grace has been a wonderful thing for me because it has really helped with the emotions. And I wrote in the chat, I think the fact that emotions are superpowers is a really good thought because I think we tend to want to get rid of them. If I get rid of them, then I'm not feeling, the hurt as well as the joy and there's not a lot of joy and positive in it sometimes. But I think it's really important that we have those emotions and that we use them and we deal with them. But anyway, I just wanted to recommend this Savvy Caregiver if people haven't done it. And thank you so much. This is the first Zinnia one I have attended, and I really, really enjoy it. I'm sure I'll be coming to some more. Thank you.
I love that. And I appreciate you giving a shout out to the Savvy Caregiver program. It is an excellent program. It's SAVVY, Caregiver SAVVY. I did put a link into the chat. And I believe that there are probably programs, it's given all over the country. It was created at the University of Minnesota, and has been done in conjunction with Emory University. And they have 6-week and 3-week programs, advanced programs, and I suspect that they're available online, but I'm not positive.
We did because Alaska is so widespread. Most of ours are done via Zoom.
Oh, they are.
There
Okay.
aren't enough. Anchorage is about the only place where there are enough people in one spot to do it. So I actually did mine on Zoom with people from all over Alaska. So
Thank you for letting everybody know about that. And Jackie in the chat asked the question, does anyone have any resources for considering remote caregiving? Resources
Hmm.
for considering remote caregiving. Jackie, I'm not quite sure I know what you mean by that. Do you mean
I guess what I mean is I need to get away for a few months from caring for my mom, and I'm realizing how much I do is by phone and internet, and how much I can get things shipped to her. And I'm just trying to think through before taking the leap of being farther than driving distance away for just a little while. What to do? I don't know. If anyone has been a remote caregiver or yeah, I don't know. Just a question.
how much care does she require? Are you doing hands-on care, or is it mostly like picking up groceries and hanging out with her?
Well, it's more about like if something goes wrong with her health, I'm the only contact, and I would have to schedule doctor appointments, maybe do them virtually. It's in the social aspect because she doesn't she's new in her facility. So I actually don't do right now. She's in a facility, but sorry, I don't want to get into this too much.
No, no, that's okay. I
I
get you.
appreciate your help, but yeah, maybe part of it is just giving myself permission to be away. Um, because I have to for my life. I have to take care of my financial life, which has pretty much fallen apart this last year and a half.
Yep. Jackie, boy oh boy, you're on the right track because you're thinking about it. And I think that you'd probably get a lot of encouragement from people on the call that if you can explore and land on ways that you can create that distance so that you um, regain some sense of self and financial stability, that's really very important. I will toss this resource out there. I don't know if you guys know about something called Jubilee TV. I really like it. Of course, I'm in the media world, but Jubilee TV is a product that it would be on your mom's TV, and you control her TV with your device, like your iPhone. You control when it turns on and when it turns off. And you can create reminders that show up on her screen at certain times of the day, like doctor appointment at 2 p.m. You can also initiate from your side a video call so that her TV pops on and you're on the screen. So it doesn't require, so it's very much not in her hands, but you're the one who is initiating these conversations that could happen on a daily basis or every couple of days. Um, and just if you needed a way to feel like, okay, I'm still connecting with her, even though I'm far away, but I feel like I have a little bit of control. You get to look at her because there's a camera on her TV. And so you could look at her and say, she doesn't look very good, right? You could leave the camera on at all times so that you can see how she's moving around the house or around her room. Does she still look like she's upright and stable? Does it look like her health is kind of deteriorating? Anyway, just a thought. Also just another thing is you might be able to find a care navigator who is a person who, on your behalf, would check in, like visit her once a week, just to check in and see how she's doing, establish sort of a relationship with her, and that would be sort of your conduit to knowing that there is somebody, or twice a week, whatever it might be, depending on financial resources. I'd be happy to have a longer conversation offline, but I think that some other people on the call might have some ideas here, or other questions. Stephen?
Jackie, you say she just moved into a facility. Is she mobile? Can she get around? Well,
Yeah.
I would just offer, we live in a facility, a CCRC, and you will be amazed how quickly she integrates into that facility with other people.
Yeah.
Unless she's,
Yeah.
uh, they will take care of her while you are away. They will be part of it, just the people she's in with every day. It happens. It's just a natural thing. Don't worry.
I love that, Stephen.
Thank
And
you.
Jim, it looks like you had something to offer as well.
Yeah, I appreciate resources that I'm hearing here. Guide is something I've seen in a letter but haven't had time to look at yet. And that connects with me traveling. It seems like half the time when I'm out of town, something happens to my mom.
Mhm.
So it's nice to look into somebody who can go there. I've also heard that there's some doctors service on the east side that'll go to a house instead of you going to them. And I need to look into that more. Um, and then the Jubilee TV I'm going to have to look up because every once in a while I get a call that I can't change channel on my TV or something like that. I've been thinking I need to look for an easier to use TV or hey, a remotely controlled TV.
Yeah, definitely. I know about it because we have people who use Zinnia through Jubilee TV, right? So they're able to make it so that in the morning at 7:30 a.m. the Let's Get Dressed video pops on or whatever, so that they can kind of guide the person through their day with Zinnia videos, but they're able to do it remotely. But I love the feature that you can initiate video calls and have these check-ins. So it's
That's true because
That's amazing.
she's not good at Zoom either. So yeah, me being able to.
exactly, right? I know. I had a call with my mom today. I went for a walk before I did this, and she said, "Oh, I think I would like to join that call." I thought, "Oh God, I can't both support you on the phone and have the Zoom call going at the same time, Mom." Yeah. Sally, I see that your hand is still up, but I think that's from before. Cool. Okay.
It is
And
from before, but I wanted to ask you, can more than one person use the Jubilee?
yeah, I'm pretty sure that they can.
Okay, thank you.
I'm pretty sure.
How do I
I'd
put
have
my,
to double check on that, but worth looking into, right?
yep.
Yeah.
There,
Any other? Yeah, Sylvia, I see your hand pop up. Oh, wait, I think you're muted there, Sylvia.
There you go. I'm in Pittsburgh, and there's an organization here through Senior Presbyterian Care. Um, I've learned more stuff. I've got cameras. I wondered how many people know about dementia cafes, or if you've heard of that. It's a gathering with the intention that nobody's going to talk about dementia at all, that you're going to have stuff to eat, you're going to have conversations, and it includes the caregiver and the person who is receiving care, and it's an opportunity that is unique because you're not every other person is going to say, "So, how's your dementia?" And then the next question is, my husband looks at me to tell him how his dementia is because he doesn't really know much about how much he has dementia. But the Dementia Cafe, we sing songs, we eat, we draw, we do all kinds of things. It's an hour a month, and it's absolutely a lifesaver. And another thing that I've done is gotten my husband into a couple of movement classes at the Jewish Community Center uh, that are meant for people with Parkinson's and stuff. But the people who are waiting for the person they've dropped off in the class are full of information about what they're dealing with, what kind of walker they use. How they manage it's just the most wonderful informal connection, like a support thing, but it just happens because all those people are sitting around waiting to pick up the person who's in the class. Thank you so much for this program today. It's been
Oh,
wonderful.
you are so welcome. And I'll just kind of tag on to that. So dementia cafes, also often called memory cafes.
There you go.
And
That's right.
yeah, they're very good. And something that's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys have heard about Maud's Awards or Maud's Ventures. It's a guy in Seattle, philanthropist Richard Ferry, who donates money to organizations that are about improving dementia support and care. Maud's Ventures are where he gives money, a big chunk of money, to a group of people that want to do something. And the winners last year were Ann Basting, unless you follow this stuff, like Ann Basting is an amazing human being. And she won the Mods Adventures to create thousands and thousands of more memory cafes around the United
Oh,
States.
excellent.
So it's definitely it's something that is starting to really take off. I did go to some but when my husband was fairly advanced, and it didn't really work out so well for us because he got really pissed off. But
Oh,
it works great. So I think that it's worth trying. And I love also many faith-based organizations are kind of finally getting it together and starting to provide support for people, not just within their spiritual community, but within their broader community
mm,
around dementia, support for caregivers, and programming for people who are living with dementia. So
mhm.
it's absolutely worth scoping out what might be available in your area.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
Uh, Anything else that anybody would like to ask about, chat about? Is there anybody who feels like there's like a pressing question, something you just,
I have
yeah,
one
yeah,
more
sure. Go
thing.
ahead, Sylvia.
Okay. We have Alexa. It's not something I ever imagined I would have. It was given to me. It's not my fault. But when we are watching TV and the ads come on, I call, tell Alexa to play a song. We put the TV on mute. That has absolutely saved my whole day many, many times. Just to put on Alexa, think of a song that would really resonate with me. And then there are some that really resonate with my husband that make all the difference. And it's literally only 2 or 3 minutes a song. And it's wonderful.
What a great way to reset,
Yes.
right? And to
Yes.
connect, right? Because
Yes.
if you put on one of your husband's favorite songs and you
Yes.
can kind of reminisce, you can connect, you can dance, you can move. I love
Mhm.
all of that. Thank you for that suggestion.
Okay. Take care.
I have really avoided Alexa, but I don't know, maybe it's time. Anything else that anybody doesn't have to be a big thing, just something you're kind of,
Allison, your
yeah.
last response reminded me, and I've heard this 2 or 3 times, and I think Jim kind of started it, is the key is to listen to all of this and find what works for you and not feel like you have to try to do all of it. But I think the key is Jim finds his respite in walking to the grocery store and doing his own shopping. Other people find it in delivery or pickup. And I think the key is listening to all the different ideas and figuring out how you can twist it to make it work for you individually. Because it reminds me back of that old phrase I heard in the very beginning, when you know one person with dementia, you know one person with dementia, because each one is different and each of us has really different needs in the way of support and compassion for what we're doing. And while I have the mic, I'm going to say one more thing. I really love the book Surviving Alzheimer's by Paula Scott. And I
Okay.
like I recommend it to people for one reason. It's huge, it's really thick, but it has a wonderful table of contents. And so if you want to look up, they don't want to eat, you can go to that page. Or if you want to, I was also when or Jackie, whoever was asking about remote, there are sections about those who are living right with them, those who live away and want to support. How do you help support? How can you support from a distance if you're not the primary caregiver? But also for each and every subject, incontinence, eating, anger, sleep, whatever, you can go to the spot and find some suggestions, stories of what has worked with people. Um, and so I just keep it at hand and I give it to anybody I know. I don't look at it all the time, but boy, when you're looking for something, it can just get the juices rolling in your ideas of stuff. So
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If anybody else has resources, I put that one into the chat. If anybody has resources, I always welcome you sharing those because I pluck from that and then I can send it out in the email that I follow up with, which I will be doing. It sometimes takes me a few days to get the recording all set up, but then Jennifer has already shared with me her list of resources and will be sending you her resources, a deck as a follow-up. And as Jennifer mentioned, there are, what's that, Jackie? Okay. As Jennifer mentioned, there are, we've got a bunch more um, sessions that are scheduled now through May. And Sally says Alaska offers a thank you so much for this. You know, I love Alaska. One of the we're part of the WWAMI, right? The Washington, Alaska, Montana, Idaho medical health system. And so when I was at the University of Washington, I first started doing a lot of work with people in Alaska. And the Alaska resources, the Alzheimer's resources folks there are just incredible. So I'm happy that people in Alaska are being well supported.
I was just showing the Hero app. I can literally dispense an as needed med from my phone. What a incredible, that's something to be grateful for.
Wow, it's called the Hero app.
It's Hero. It's actually a machine they send you and you borrow it and have a membership, $50 a month. And then there's an app with it. So it dispenses the meds automatically on a time schedule that you set from the app. Like you just sit there with your app watching TV and then you go to then the machine does what it's supposed to do. It's
So at
amazing.
another location, a medication is dispensed, like it falls into a little
Yeah,
chute or something.
it falls into a cup. It's amazing. But it
What?
needs Wi-Fi. You have to have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
It's on a
Oh, that's
Wi-Fi
pretty cool.
network. Yeah.
And
That's how they
so
feed
H,
cats.
say that again.
That's how they feed cats.
That's what I was thinking too.
What?
It's how they feed cats.
Oh. Yeah.
I have not even heard of that before. So what a wonderful resource to know about. Thank you for that, Jackie. Cool, cool.
I'm
And
literally
anything
never
else?
mind.
Oh no, 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 no. Now you got to
Well,
talk.
I'm literally avoiding 900 additional dollars per month for med management. So my mom is doing better than she was, as long story. But anyway, she's only in assisted living, but her memory loss on certain days can be pretty bad. But she can't manage meds, even though she thinks she can. Anyway, they would charge $900 a month just to give her 3 pills a day. And this is $50 a month, and it's working out. But she has not been all on board the whole time. So it's really hard. She doesn't really get it. So anyway, thanks. I just appreciate you all being here and
Love that. I love we all being here too. There were 50 people on our call today, and so that means that we are tapping into 50 brains filled with information about what has worked, what hasn't worked, ideas. I am just so grateful to everybody for being willing to participate and be available for each other in this way. So thank you for that. And on that note, I think we'll go ahead and close. In the email that you get, it will list the upcoming sessions. The next one is going to be um, Jana Rumberger, who on a previous call, we talked about whether or not people with dementia could benefit from a therapist. And so I found a therapist who supports people with dementia. And she's going to talk about how she supports people, how she works with them, what kind of benefits can be derived by having a person with dementia work with a personal therapist. So anyway, that'll be next time, and you all take good care of yourselves until then. Once again, Jennifer, thank you so, so much. I look forward to
thank you.
you. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Take care, and hey, wishing you an easy shift into the new year, everybody. Bye-bye.